let's rank these new Hunter x Hunter units from best to worst and which one to recommend on getting first. Alright, so before we get started, I just wanted to say a couple things, just a couple of side notes here and there, just to make sure that people are not confused. But all the stats that I just showcased here are depending on the units, just because they can vary. Like in the game, you can have some units that have more damage, more SPA, more range, or less damage, less SPA, and less range. So this is kind of just like the medium and what most units look like, but some are better or some are worse, so keep that in mind. Also, some of these units are very situational, so depending on your opinion or whatever you need, maybe you need an air unit and you need this specific type of unit that I'll recommend for that air unit. So keep in mind that this is just my opinion, but also it is very situational for some of the units that you're gonna use in the game. And finally, the DPS part that I'll talk about once actually showing their stats, it includes all of the units that you could place and not just one. For example, if you could place 3 Neteros, I'm gonna multiply the DPS of 1 Netero by the 3, and that's the total. So speaking of Netero, let's get started with number 1. I recommend getting Evolved Netero. So Evolved Netero is just the overall great damage dealer. 42,000 damage, 13,000 DPS, 9.5 SPA, 37 range with a giant circle AoE, placeability 3, and its role is damage dealer, of course. And although you can only place 3 of these guys, its damage is absolutely insane. 42 is up there. Although these units are not better than the hollow ones, since Stark is still very meta with that giant line AoE, but still an overall great DPS unit if you want to get it. Damage dealer on top. But I'll list some other units that you could replace at number 1 if you need them, but for right now, Netero is definitely just an overall generally usable damage unit. Now for number 2, I have Miriam. So Miriam can be interchangeable with number 1 just because it is our hybrid unit. So this is one of the first damaging hybrid units besides like Irwin, but basically level 90 evolved Miriam, 14,000 damage, 11.6 DPS, 4.8 SPA with a range of around 40, and the AoE is a giant circle similar to Netero, and you can place 4 of these guys down. And what I mean by hybrid is because of its passive. Passive basically allows it to hit both air and ground units while having the ability to be placed on ground and hills. So if you don't have space on hills, you can place it on grounds and still hits airs and grounds. If you don't have space on the ground, you can place it on hills and it hits both air and ground. So overall, just a great unit to have. If you don't have Uryu or maybe a Kainu, this is a great alternative. I do believe Uryu is just a better damage dealer in general, but Miriam does have a bigger AoE and generally more usable in other maps, and also it looks pretty amazing, man. The Ant King just goes crazy. Who doesn't want this? For number 3, I have Gon. So Gon, some people may say that the SP is a little high, but I'll talk about here in a bit on why I put it on number 3. But yeah, for damage, around 57,000 damage, DPS of 7,700, which is a little low, but the range and AoE makes up for it because the range is 55 with the full circle AoE. So this is similar to Broly. This is kind of like the second up to Broly with a little higher SPA, but amazing damage overall, nearing 60,000, and you can place 3 of these guys down. Its main role is to be damage dealer. So this is kind of replacement for Broly if you want to have a giant damage dealer for maps like Namek or maps that just have a small pathway in general. This is a good unit to place down. And since we have Kisuke in the game, you could pair this up with Kisuke and remove the SPA down to a lower time. So I believe let's do 22 seconds times 0.20, which is the percentage it's buffed by. So that's around 4.4 SPA removed. So its SPA is nearing around 18. That's pretty good. Or if I'm wrong and it's 15, let me quickly do that again. 22 times 0.15, that's 3 seconds. So remove that, that's around 19. So if you have Kisuke along with it, the SPA is going to be around 18 to 19 seconds, which is actually really good because those are literal seconds being taken down. So Gon definitely up there for being a great unit. Now for number 4, I have your boy Killua. So Killua, I put him up here just because of his stun and overall DPS. So damage wise, 15.5k. DPS is around 15.8k because its SPA is very low at a staggering 3.9 seconds. Alright, its range is a little smaller, but it has the same giant circle AoE size as around Netero and Miriam, so that's really nice. You can place 4 of these guys down and has ability to stun. I'm pretty sure the stun is a 50-50, but if not, then 100% chance, which makes it even better. So So the main role for it is a stun support, but it's kind of like Juzo in the terms of like it has great DPS and low SPA. So if you want to get Killua as a DPS unit, go ahead, but I recommend using Killua as more of a stun because that utility on it is really nice. If I did get any of these stats wrong, definitely leave it in the comments below, but let me quickly retry this if I did it wrong. So 15,500 divided by the 3.9 SPA times the 4. Yeah, this should be correct unless I'm being really dumb right now. And then finally, for the 5th spot, I placed Pito. So Nephro, Pito, whatever you want to call it. These stats do not include bleed or crit, and that's what makes it really good and situational as well. So the damage around 17,000, DPS 14.2k, SPA around 5 seconds, but I've seen 4.8. The range is around 30. Big circle AoE, so it's a little smaller than these previous AoEs from these other 100x100 units. You can place 4 of these guys down, and it has the ability to bleed and crit. So this is one of the first double damaging units besides like Levi. So we got bleed and crit at the same time. So the crit, of course, multiplies the damage by 2. So for crit chance, multiply this. This is around 34 damage on crit, and add on the bleed, which is a percentage tick. I don't really know the percentage tick, but this is definitely a boss killer at its max. So definitely a great alternative for units like Levi or maybe Uriel, but this guy can't hit, you know, air units, but still an amazing boss damaging dealer. So for my rankings goes like this: Netero number 1, Miriam number 2, 3rd Gon, 4th Killua, and 5th Pito. But like I said, you could always interchange these, and this is just my opinion. This is including situationals. So Miriam, I placed him really high just because he's hybrid and a great air killer. You could definitely place Pito and Killua way higher than Gon just because they're less expensive and they have great utility in terms of boss killing and just normal infinite. But I just placed Gon over because he has amazing hair, great damage, and that AoE is massive. But definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below of which units you should get. I recommend getting these 2 first, of course, and then checking out these 3 if you want to, since there's already showcases of them. But yeah, have fun collecting all these new units.